What a privilege and honor this is for me to get to chat with and hear your story, Misty. Misty Allmandinger, welcome to the More Than Your Age podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you. Misty, I discovered you through Instagram and through your company, Main Label. I am a huge advocate of your product. I am a frequent user of the Sway. I did it this morning. You probably can't tell right now. My hair was still a little bit wet, but I'm a frequent user of it. We will eventually hear about that company and how it came to be. But before we do that, I want to get to know you. I want to have you share your story, where you're from, and some of your main passions.
Okay, so well, originally I'm from Iowa, born and raised small town, and I went to college at Iowa State. Then I went to cosmetology school, and very quickly after that, I moved to Arizona. One of those things I just never felt like I was where I needed to be in this small town. So yeah, left my family and everything I knew and came to Arizona and started doing hair there. My passion has really always been hair in the beauty industry and really just making people feel good about themselves. I think that's really where, with I think just my childhood, wanting to feel like understood and heard and loved and to feel beautiful has just really always been my passion. So it almost is like twofold because I get to do hair and then also listen to people's problems, help them, give them advice and things like that. And so it's a very rewarding job, and I feel very fortunate that 20 years later in the industry, I still love what I do.
So great. What about Arizona? Why was it Arizona that you decided to move there? Or what was it about Arizona?
That's kind of funny because again, growing up in a small town, like we vacationed, but not much. Like we would camp, we went to like Kansas City to Worlds of Fun and Oceans of Fun, but we didn't go a lot of places. So I didn't really know what was out there. And in college, my roommate, she had a relative that lived in Scottsdale, and she was like, "Oh, it's the most beautiful place." And then one of my cousins, she was quite a bit older than me, but she moved to Scottsdale, started doing hair. She met a guy, and her story was like, I want that. He like owned this car dealership and they just traveled the world, and she was so successful. And I was just like, of course, that's the only place I can do that is Arizona. And so just kind of blindly, I went and visited in the summer of like 2003, I think it was, maybe 2004. It was like July. And then I moved out in August. It was like, got off the plane and I just felt like this is where I'm supposed to be. But it was the only place I'd ever really been outside of Iowa, and a few other places. But yeah, I kind of took someone else's story and was going to try to make it mine.
I love it. And then you stayed. And so you did kind of make it your story.
Yes, yes. I mean, I loved it here. I still love it here. I mean, the summers are brutal, but the rest of the year is absolutely gorgeous. I love how it's very centrally located. You can drive to California, you can drive to Colorado, you can drive to Vegas, you can kind of get everywhere. And it's just, yeah, I really love it here. Made great friends and obviously a business. So,
Oh yeah. Now, do you feel like the tourism industry in Scottsdale has just skyrocketed in the past few years? Because I feel like Scottsdale, at least for me in my neck of the woods, that not as many people would go travel there, but now I'm hearing about it all the time.
it does seem like it's gotten bigger. I mean, it's always been big. My salon is in the heart of Old Town, and that's kind of where, you know, people come. There's a ton of restaurants and bars and hotels, and so where I am, it's always busy. But it does seem like in the last few years, you know, just like a lot more bachelorette parties, a lot more just bigger groups, and things are just consistently busy.
But I bet that's good for business. So you mentioned a little bit too that of why you wanted to be a hairstylist. The big bulk of your profession is owning a salon as a hairstylist. Was this profession something you always wanted to pursue as a career? Because you said you went to college and then you decided to do cosmetology school.
Yeah, it kind of was always what I wanted to do. I mean, as a young kid, I was always into, even in my small town, I was always into fashion and my hair. And it's interesting, as I was reading these questions and kind of like gathering what I was going to say, I realized as a young kid that I was always trying to be someone else, honestly. I think I was trying to kind of escape the childhood I had. It was like great, but at the same time, there's a lot of problems. And I think I was just honestly trying to be someone else. And so I'd get my hair done and I would like highlight it really blonde and cut it short. And then I would go dark. And I think I was just really like trying to be someone else. And now I'm realizing maybe this is what guided me to this passion, because I was so interested in that I made it my career. So I always wanted to do hair, but people would always, you're not going to make any money. Hairstylists don't make money. So I went to college to get a degree because that's what people do. And and as I was there, I got a job at a hair salon because clearly it was my passion, and it was amazing. They were just took me in with open arms. I was a sophomore in college. I started out as their receptionist, and then they made me the lead receptionist, and then I was hiring, and then I was doing inventory, and I just learned so much about the business, and it was clear that I loved it. I loved working with the stylists. They taught me how to wax eyebrows and do hair, and it was clear that I wanted to do that. And the owners of that salon actually owned the cosmetology school in Ames, Iowa. So I got a discount on tuition. I went straight from graduating from Iowa State to cosmetology school, and then right into hair after that. So it just seemed like it was meant to be for me.
Wow, that's so neat. I love that. Now, something you said that I kind of want to ask a little further, and feel free to answer or not if you don't want to, but you said you were always trying to be somebody else. And when you moved to Arizona, did you feel like once you were there, you could be your authentic self because nobody knew you, or did that still take some time?
I don't know. It definitely still took time. And I think sometimes I'm still there. As I get older, I'm definitely getting more confident and, accepting who I am. And, but I do find that, sometimes the failures take the front seat over all the things I've done. And so I think, again, that's just goes back to my childhood and some of the issues that I'm still trying to overcome. So yeah, I mean, it's much better now, but yeah, I think I've always just like, I meet someone, I'm like, oh, they're so great. I wish I was more like them. And so I'm working on trying to, just accept, like, I just want to be like me.
Yeah, I think that's great. And, I think for a lot of women too, it's kind of an ongoing, the comparison with other women is huge. And so it can be, for me, that can be a struggle as well, right? Like, oh, I want to be like how they are. But then to realize like, okay, you have your own gifts. And so Misty, same with you, you have your own gifts, you have your own talents, and they're used in a great way. Anyhow, back to your business and everything. So, I've noticed there's a type of artistry with cutting, coloring, styling hair. Do you believe that you had that in you as far as like that skill, or was it when you were at that salon where everyone was teaching you that you were like, okay, no, I actually really can do it. Like, I've had this passion to do it, but now I also have the skill.
I think it was a little bit of both. I definitely still, to this day, we have classes at the salon, or, thank goodness for Instagram now. You can learn so much, these videos that people post. So I think I always wanted to be that person who was coming up with the new cutting edge stuff, but it really isn't me. I think I have more of a, I can take something that someone else did and then recreate it, and make it, each client gets what they need based on the things I've learned and the tools I've learned. So yeah, I wish I could say I'm that like super creative. I'm more of the executor. Like even with the business with Main Label, Molly, my partner, my sister-in-law, she, I would say, is more the visionary. And even with the salon, my business partner, Emily, she's more the visionary, and I'm like getting it done.
Well, and I think that's what's beautiful about having a business partner. So my husband, he and his business partner, they own a business as well. And you can see the gifts as within them. You have the idea person, and sometimes you both may have the idea, but you also need that executor. And so it's hugely important for the success of any type of business. So Misty, I want to tell you something. I listened to a podcast recently, and I didn't send you this in advance because I wanted your authentic response with this. So there was a guest on the show who made a comment that sparked all types of emotions in me. And so I just want to share this with you to get your thoughts. So this lady was a hairstylist for like 8 to 10 years or so when she left the profession. And when contemplating leaving the profession, she stated, I have so much value that I can do so much more with my life. And so I left being a hairstylist. As a hairstylist yourself and a co-owner of a salon, when you hear that, what are your initial thoughts?
I guess my first thought would be, was hair ever really her passion? Or was people, like, what is her passion? That would be my first thought. Because, having been in this industry for so long, there are a lot of stylists that it's almost like they didn't know what they wanted to do with their life. They're like, oh, I like beauty, I like hair, I'm going to go do it. But it's not really their passion. And so that would be my first thought, is maybe it's not her passion and she has other passions outside of that are calling to her. So yeah, that would be my first thought. My other thought is that, kind of like what your podcast is all about, with like these limited beliefs, that like you can't do both. Like that's the great thing about doing hair, is that you can have a schedule, you can create your own schedule, and then still do other things outside of it and kind of get both. So yeah, I would just kind of want to ask her what she's missing, or what she thinks she's missing.
I love that response. That was such a great response, because of thinking, well, what is she passionate about? Or she may not be passionate about it. Because when I heard that, I was like, how dare she? She's like, she's diminishing the role of like what somebody else is doing or what someone else's career is. And like, cause I'll hear people say that about teaching. I used to be a teacher, or stay-at-home moms too, of just like, oh, well, I'm so much more than just that. And it's like, well, you're insulting. What if that is someone's just, and they love it and they're so passionate about it? But I do like that you said, maybe that's not her passion, and that's okay. So that's good. And I also brought it up because, like you said, this entire podcast is about being more than your age or more than your job or title you're given, yet at the same time, having value and purpose in where you are. You are so much more than the belief that your job or your role doesn't have any value. And for you specifically, Misty, what is the value and beauty of your role as a hairstylist and a salon owner?
I think above and beyond everything, for me personally, it's the connections. It's honestly something that I like meditate on and pray on and whatnot, is like being so grateful for the personality that I have, that I'm able to make such great connections with people. So I love doing hair, but I think I love the connection I make with people more. And then how, once that connection is there and we have such a relationship, knowing that they walk out the door feeling so great about themselves. Because, one thing I learned way back, it was years ago I think it was like a retail class. And thought it was so interesting that in the Great Depression, red lipstick sales skyrocketed, even though women didn't have money to spend. But women and men too, when things are bad in life, you still want to feel beautiful. Like, feeling good about yourself gives you the confidence to like keep going. And it really resonated with me. I mean, that was probably 18 years ago that I took that class, and it really stuck with me and made me realize, my job is to connect with these people and then make them feel great, so when they walk out the door, they can do better things with their life. And so for me, that's what it is. It's probably less about the art and skill of doing hair, but it's more about the connections with the people.
Oh yeah, that's huge. And really, everyone always talks about, I'm going to see my hairstylist and it's like my therapy session. And I'm sure you hear all types of stories.
All the things, and like right when they sit in my chair. Could be the first time I've met them. It's like, the floodgates are open. And I love it.
Yeah, I got my haircut a couple days ago, and my hairstylist, she was like, she doesn't tell me who, but she's like, oh my gosh, I have a client who also this and this and this. And I'm like, oh man, the stories that you hear. I know there are books out there from hairstylists, and I'm sure you've got plenty that you could write about too.
Oh yeah, within the salon, we definitely have a lot of inside jokes. Keeps us going.
Yeah. So you decide to open up, co-create a salon in Scottsdale. How did this unfold?
Honestly, and I can say this, and I have to say this with both businesses, neither one of them was me starting the thought. Like, so there was a group of us that had worked at a salon for anywhere from 5 to 12 years. And we'd all work together. There was like 6 of us. And the place was great until it wasn't, until the owner bought a salon in California, and he felt like he kind of abandoned us. And so we kind of all did a mass exodus and went to a different salon that we thought was going to be great, and it turned out to be worse. So then we were like, what are we going to do now? And my now partner, Emily, who at that time, like, we had worked next to each other at the salon, and I would say we were really good acquaintances, but probably not really great friends yet. And she was like, I'm just going to open a salon myself. And everyone was like, oh, please, please, get us out of here. And she started looking, and I could tell she was stressed. So I just, I called her and I said, hey, if you want me to help you, if you just even need advice or, someone to just ask questions and get some feedback, like I'm not trying to step on your toes, but I'll be here for you because I'm sure this is like a really daunting task. And so she was like, okay, and she ended up calling me, I think it was just like an hour later, and it was like, okay, if we're going to do this, it's got to be 50-50. And I was like, whoa, I was like, honestly, like I didn't have this conversation to be like, let me, jump in and run this business with you, even though it had always been my dream. I wasn't about to steal her dream, And she was like, no, I don't think I can do this alone. I don't want to do it alone. So like, are you in? And I was like, heck yeah. So that's kind of how it started. And then we just hit the ground running, and it happened so fast. We were open within 2 months. It was crazy.
Wow. And so did y'all bring everybody that all the people that were working at the other previous salons as well?
Yep, pretty much. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think we could have done it had we not had those people, because it was like a guaranteed, amount of like rent and, money to keep our doors open. So yeah, if it wasn't, but we were all so close, and now it's been 6 years later, and we're just a little family, and it's the best.
That's so neat. So, I don't know in Scottsdale if this is as common as it is here, where there are, they're not like a salon where you have the tables and like they're the individual rooms, like kind of like a suite. Are there a lot there too? Okay. So what would you say, as far as for a hairstylist who's looking for a place to work, what would be the separation or the benefit of working at a salon like yours compared to their own personal suite?
Oh, 1,000% the camaraderie. It's great to have your own suite, to have that autonomy, but there's little things that I think, clients or just the normal person wouldn't realize, like, oh, a client came in and she decided she wanted to change her hair, and you're like, I don't have that hair color, like I can't just have every single color under the sun sitting in my locker. And so it's like, oh, hey, can I borrow this, can I borrow that? Or maybe it's something you're outside your skills, and then you get to go in the back room and be like, what would you guys do? And then on top of it, it's like in between, while you're mixing color and while you're waiting for your guests, like we just sit in the back and we talk about our lives and we share and we cry and we laugh. And I can't imagine not having that. I think it would feel so lonely. So I think that, because, ours is a rental. They rent their chairs. We don't dictate their hours. We don't dictate anything. They can essentially run their own business within our salon. But we're such a family, and we do have rules, that it feels like a commission salon, but it's a rental salon. So everyone kind of can live their own life the way they want to, and that makes the most people happy. So one thing that people say all of the time when they walk through our doors is you can just feel the love, the energy. There's, some salons you go into, there's like, it's pretentious, there's tension. It just doesn't feel, like comfortable. And ours is like a little coffee shop. Everybody talks to everybody. It just is a really fun, loving, happy space to be in.
That's wonderful. It sounds like a lot of what barbershops are too. You have people, there's this family aspect of it. And yeah, I think that's huge. And then the fact that if you all are experiencing this love and, like you said, camaraderie with one another, then that's going to impact your clients as well. And they're going to want to go back, because everyone, you can walk into anywhere, doctor's office, hair salon. If you can tell that everyone hates each other, you're probably not going to go back.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Okay, so business at the salon continues to happen. You're styling hair. You're enjoying life. Everything is great. And then one day your sister-in-law comes to you with an idea to transform the way that women curl their hair. What was her idea? And then when did she present it to you?
So Molly came to me mid-COVID. She... our salon was closed for like 6 weeks, but then we opened back up. I was also driving to clients' house, dropping off color. So I didn't really get the same thing that I think a lot of people did, which was downtime, just being at home on your phone, on your computer, watching shows. I was still trying to survive. So she came to me and she's like, I see this big trend of these heatless curls, whether people were using socks or their bathrobe tie or whatever. And Molly, her background is like clothing and design. She and her husband, my husband's brother, they had a clothing line, a children's organic clothing line called Mallow Organic, and it was amazing. I'm so sad that they aren't doing it anymore because the clothes were phenomenal. But so she has that background. So she came to me saying, this seems like a great trend. I think I've already started kind of making some prototypes, but she's like, I know nothing about hair. And so I need help. And do you want to do this? And I think initially I was just like, well, yeah, of course, because I had no idea how big it would get. So, she's like, she lives in Vegas. I live in, obviously, Arizona. So she just started sending me kind of her prototypes, and I would play with them, and I'd be like, oh, this is too big, this is too thick, and I think it needs to be something where, because the ones that were out there were like big and bulky, and like wearing them out of the house was not a thing. So I was like, I think we need to make it cute so we could wear it out of the house. And because for me, I'm like a multitasker. I'm sure every mom out there is. And I'm just like, I want to get as much done with my time as possible. So if I want to go to the grocery store and do my hair at the same time, I want it to be cute. So we just kind of started creating things back and forth, sending them back and forth, the length, the color, the fabric, and finally we came up with the Sway, and we wanted to call it something because no other product out there has a name either. It's just like a heatless curling rod or a heatless curling ribbon.
Really?
So we wanted to create a name, so hopefully at some point that's what people would know. Be like, oh, you need a Sway. You need a Sway. And it would make us stand out a little bit more. So that's kind of how it all started.
How did y'all come up with the name?
Well, Molly loves David Bowie. She's obsessed, and I love him too, but not, nearly as obsessed as she is. And he has a song called Sway. And, we're just like, the hair, the curls, it sways. And so, yeah, I mean, we did a lot of brainstorming in the beginning. But it was also tough because, when you're starting a business, you have to come up with these things right away before you can, make logos and make your email and whatnot. So it was tough because, you want to create the perfect thing, but you also only have a small amount of time to do it. So I don't know, it just seemed right. Like we both loved it the moment it came out, and we went with it.
So from inception, so from the day that when Molly came to you and she said, I've got this idea, and then you say, okay, let's do it, to your first sale, how long of a time was that?
I don't think it was that long. I want to say, I should have looked back on my phone. My memory is not great, but I want to say it was probably like February or March that she came to me with the idea. And I remember making some like my very first videos when I was in Florida visiting friends on the beach, and wearing it on the beach and having people come up to me like, what is that in your hair? And then I was putting it in people's hair on the beach. And that was May of 2020. Where are we at? 21? 20. Shoot. 21. Yeah. So it was probably just a few months. And I just was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to start making videos, and I'm going to start posting on Instagram. I'm going to start following people and just see what happens. And so it was a very short period of time. And then we got our first sale, I would say, in June. It was, yeah.
That's phenomenal.
We got really lucky. We got so lucky. I don't know if you follow, or I'm sure you've seen Meredith Mayer, if you follow Instagram or like Main Label. She's just this woman who is the sweetest woman alive, and she found us because she follows a client of mine who is in fashion and whatnot, and she was wearing the Sway on Instagram. So Mayer bought one, and she works for Beauty Counter, and she has a wide net of a network, and so she loved it, and she immediately started talking about it. And honestly, I don't know if we'd be where we are right now if it wasn't for her, because she was genuinely in love with this product, and she talked about it so much that we started getting sales from that. And then I couldn't believe how many people were buying and sharing and buying and sharing. Like, it was blowing my mind. It was crazy.
Wow. Yeah, so that's so funny because a friend of mine who I know from Beauty Counter as well, she was the one who was sharing about her sway. And so that's the first person I saw from. I was like, oh, that's cute. That, looks very convenient and you can wear it out just like you were saying. And then separately, I had another friend who, I bought it. And then a couple months later, a friend who doesn't know the other friend bought me one for Christmas. And yeah, it just exploded.
It did. It really exploded. I think neither Molly and I were expecting it to grow that fast. And I'm not gonna lie, it's really tough. It continues to be tough for me because I am so busy. And not only do I own the salon, I am behind the chair, and I'm behind the chair 4 to 5 days a week. And when I am behind the chair, I'm very devoted to the time with my guests. And so I don't have my phone out. I don't, I hope to not get interrupted by people. And so it's really tough because and then I also am a mother of two and a wife. And I have lots of friends. So it's really, really hard to juggle how busy we got so fast without giving up the time with my family.
Yeah, so that's really important for you. Obviously, like you said, spending time with your family and then your friends, and then also you want to be present with your clients. And so have you had both you and Molly, have y'all had to outsource a lot of the work with the company, or is it more just okay, we are making sure that we're dividing and conquering with our product?
We are mostly dividing and conquering. My brother-in-law, Kalen, he's kind of been part of it from the beginning in the background. So Molly, she's originally from Israel, and she has the most beautiful accent and speaks very fluently, but it doesn't love to be on camera, doesn't love to, have to have her voice on camera. So that's why you don't see her in a lot of videos. It's not her comfort zone. And also communicating isn't her, like emails, not her strong suit. So Kaylin kind of joined to help just respond to Etsy. We started with Etsy. And so he would kind of answer the emails, and he's a phenomenal communicator. I mean, it blows my mind. When I read some of his responses, I'm like, oh, I wish I could speak so just beautifully. I don't know how he does it. So he came in and he was kind of doing that from the background. We hired someone to do our Instagram posting because I quickly realized how hard that is to post every day, come up with the captions. And then we have some other outsourcing. Like we had a digital marketing company for a minute, wasn't great, PR firm. And then I hire people off of Fiverr to do little things like email campaigns. But I mean, it's one thing I've learned about this business for me is that it's making me stronger, but it's making me really have to embrace failure because, I've done hair for 20 years. I don't know emails. I don't know marketing. I don't know any of this. And so it's all so new and scary. And it's hard to sometimes it's hard to want to keep moving forward. And I feel like there's so much I have to learn and there's so much I'm doing wrong. So it's been a real growing and learning kind of journey for me.
Oh, yeah, I believe that. I mean, just like you said, learning how to, deal with those failures and what you do with that, I think will obviously helps propel what the future looks like, right? And so it always defines our character and makes us stronger when we do fail. And it's like, well, the success comes after failure. And from the outside looking in, it's been as a client, a purchaser, a customer of the product is like, man, it really is transformative. Like you said, you can do your hair and then go shopping. I mean, it never fails. Every time I wear it out, someone always is saying like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. Where'd you get it? And I was like, hey, let me show you their website. You go buy it. It's amazing. I just purchased a handful for my nieces because they always see me wearing it. And then my sister-in-law too. And I was like, okay, now we're all going to match. And I just bought myself a pink one too. And they were so excited. And so it's really cool. And I want to say that to you, Misty, just to encourage you when, those moments of struggles or whenever that happens is that, oh man, it's just helping transform. Just like you're doing it at the chair when you're talking with your clients. It's like you're helping that connection with them is transforming their lives as well. And so I love that the two of you created that, and your brother-in-law is working on it as well. So something I was thinking too is that, it's kind of risky to go into business with family. Was that ever a thought before you said yes? Like, did you have any hesitations with that?
I mean, I think originally no, because I had no idea how far it would go. But I have to say, I am so lucky into the family that I married into. Michael, my husband, his family is one of the most phenomenal beasts that I've ever met. I mean, there's so many of them, and they all are so connected, from cousins to aunts. His mom is one of seven, I believe, 7 or 8. I should probably know this. And they're all, I mean, they are just insanely close. They were just here this last weekend because my husband's cousin wrote a book, and it was her book release. And people flew from Chicago, and they came from all over to come and support. And everyone ended up at our house, and they were here till 3 a.m. and it was so fun. And, it blows my mind. So I think, no, originally I was just like, you can't, this family's so strong. And I love that it has brought me closer to Kaylin and Molly. Because I live in Vegas and we don't see them all the time. I would get really excited when we did get to see them. Molly's so sweet, and it was really fun to connect with their daughter when, before we had our youngest. And yeah, so no, originally no. Sometimes now I just hope that my personality, because I can be really strong, really direct, I can get very stressed. I'm hoping that they're like, oh gosh, we shouldn't have done this, because I worry about those kind of things. But never, no, I don't worry about them, because they're just amazing humans.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm so glad that you're part of a very strong family. That is really helpful. Okay, so, I mentioned that how much I obviously love the Sway, the product, and, your competitors have, like we already talked about, they have a similar product. The end result is the same, heatless curls or waves, but the fabric and the look, in my opinion, of the Sway stands out among others. By far. So in your opinion, what makes the Sway and the company main label a worthwhile product compared to others?
That's a really good question. I think first and foremost, the customer service that you receive from us, whether it be like Molly having such a passion for the fabric and the environment and wanting to be eco-friendly and really caring about everything that she puts on her hair and her body and surrounds her life with. And, that has made me question things that I do to want to be better for my body and soul too. And then on top of it, just my experience with hair. I really wonder, some of these other companies, do they have a hairstylist that's behind the product that can answer all these questions that you might have? If someone DMs me on Instagram with a question, I'll be like, send me a video. Let me see you putting it in. I really truly want to help. Like, that's when we were thinking about our, the purpose or our mission statements and all those things. It was, we want to help women. Life is hard and busy. So if we can do anything to not only make you feel more busy or beautiful, but be more productive, but also know that what you're putting on your hair is good for you, I think it is hands down just the best product.
Yeah, I think that is very special, or it makes you guys stand out. The fact that people reach out to you and you're like, well, okay, send me a video, show me how you're doing. Because I don't really think any other company would do something like that. So that's also, just hearing you say that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to share it some more with more people. I mean, I still would, but I just like hearing that from you. So, Misty, do you mind me asking, how old were you when you opened the salon, and then when you and Molly created Main Label?
So I'm 44. So I was 38 when we opened the salon. And so that was 42 when we started Main Label.
Okay. Did age ever play a significant role in your decision to pursue or not pursue either of these businesses?
Not ever. I didn't even think about it. But in general, I don't think I ever think about my age. I really take care of myself. I think, if anything, I'm just like, I'm not that old. what? So yeah, I rarely think about my age, unless, I do have a lot of younger, beautiful stylists in the salon, and sometimes I'll be like, oh, they're so young. But no, very, very rarely does my age create any boundaries for me.
Okay. I love that. That's great. Well, and as we've talked about, this whole podcast is about being more than your age. And so if somebody is listening to this and whether they have an idea to create a product or, whether it's a beauty product or any type of product, but is fearful to pursue it because of their age or some other limiting fear, what would you advise them right now?
I think, I mean, first I would just say you have to do it. If it's your passion, give it a go. What's the worst that can happen is it would fail. But then you're just right in the same place you are before you did it, where you know that you can survive and be. I think I'd also say find a partner, ask a lot of questions, find mentors. I think I've learned as I've gotten older, I think I used to be afraid to ask for help. I could do it myself, I got this. And people want to help always, and let them. And so I think that's what I would say is go for it, do your research, find a great partner, ask for help, and just do it.
Where, when if somebody is thinking like, okay, I have an idea for a product and I need to ask for help, but I have no idea who or where I should go. Do you have any suggestions with that as far as like, okay, well, step one, where do you go?
That's a tough question because for me it seems so easy because as a hairstylist I have so many different people sitting in my chair. I have so many different connections. So I mean, I guess I would just say start with your friends and family because they care about you the most, and just start asking if you don't know someone that's already somewhat passionate about this product you want to consider. Start asking just the people closest to you if they know someone, because almost always they're like, oh yeah, you know what? I do know this person and I can connect you. And if nothing else, like with, social media, again, like I've shared, I mean, Instagram really blew us up, and people send me messages all the time asking for help. And I'm not I think it can't hurt if you just send a message out to someone you don't even know. Most likely, are they going to turn you down for help? If they have a, some way they can help, I bet you they will help.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Well, Misty, the final question I have for you, I typically ask this question to everybody on my podcast, and so I'm going to ask you as well. Very similar to the previous question, but also a little different. So, if you could encourage one woman who feels limited to pursue a dream or a goal based on her age or life circumstance, or just has a limiting mindset that where she's at is not enough, what would you tell her?
I would say if it's really a priority, you can and you will make it happen. And I've always lived by, if it doesn't kill you, it's only going to make you stronger. Mistakes make you better. Mistakes help you grow. I teach that to my girls all the time. It's okay to make mistakes because you learn and you grow. Just makes you a better person. So I would say, but I really think if it is a priority, you will just make it happen. And you find if you start with it and you realize you're not making it a priority, it probably isn't the path for you. So, keep digging and find that passion that is there, because if you really love doing it, or if you really want to help people, or if you really, you have this goal, your path will change. I don't have time in my life right now, I didn't think, to create another company, but I'm doing it because the rewards are far greater than the hardships.
Yep, so true. Thank you, Misty. I appreciate that. I'm going to put in the show notes your company, Main Label, but if you would like to just share with the listeners where they can find you, and if anyone's in Scottsdale looking for a new hairdresser, where they can reach you at as well.
Oh my gosh, yes, thank you so much. So our salon is called Viola Rosa. My business partner, she's from Wisconsin, and so the flowers of Iowa and Wisconsin are the violet and the rose. So that's where it came from. And we're in Old Town, so absolutely. Come our way. It's a fun experience. And then Main Label, you can find us at mainlabelhairco.com. You can also find us on Etsy. And we're just now on Amazon too. We just finally got our stuff together and we're on Amazon. We're a little harder to find, so you could I could give you the link and you could put that down there too, because we only have one listing right now. And there's a gazillion heatless hair curling ribbons out there that are trying to, steal our thunder. So
Of course they are.
of course they
Of
are.
course.
Yes.
Well, okay, actually, I know we were going to end, but can I ask you a question since you just said that?
Yeah.
So, okay. So, because, my background is not in direct consumer consumer sales as far as having a physical product that I created. And so you think like, okay, inevitably there's going to be some type of competition. And when you create a very successful product, you're going to have people who copy and, steal your idea in a way. So as a company and owners with this, what do you guys do to try to make sure that they're not stealing your customers away, or that you are ahead of the others?
Well, that is also our question. It's probably our biggest struggle right now, because our product is more expensive because it is high quality. This fabric, I mean, I've been using the one I wore last night was my very first original sway. It's high quality. It's going to last you a long time. And so I think we just need to keep getting ourselves out there and educating people to know that this is the product you want to be putting on your hair. It's not going to damage your hair. Who knows what's inside these other ones? I'm sure they're not sourced in the U.S. Like ours are made in the U.S. and we know exactly what's going into them. It's really tricky. People steal our photos. They steal our videos. They do it all. But, I guess it's flattery, right? Because they're just trying to be us. But that's something I'm still working on with my mentors is, what can we do to educate people, or so people know that our product is a better product. It's not as cheap. That's true, but it's going to last a lot longer, and your hair is going to be better for it.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it's a phenomenal product. Okay. Well, and would this be better too for me to just go ahead and link straight to your website, because you're going to get more, you'll get more from that if they go directly to your website. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I would be okay if they went to Amazon, or, I think everyone's shopping on Amazon right now, to be honest. So if the link to Amazon was on there, that'd probably be best. People like to get things fast. But on our website, we have all our other products too, right? All our scrunchies, our headbands that are made out of the great high quality fabric, and some other products too. So if you want to see what else we offer, the website is great. But if you're just going right for this way, and you want it quick, Amazon's great too.
Okay. Well, then I will link all of that, Misty, and I'll link your Instagram page as well for people to reach out and find Main Label and find you. And for anybody in the Scottsdale area looking for a new salon, a new stylist, Misty is your girl and her people are your people. Misty, I loved chatting with you. I loved hearing your story. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing who you are. I appreciate it. And thanks for joining the More Than Your Age podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. This seriously was a privilege for me, and I'm just in awe of what you're doing.